So, let me tell you, the suffering in humanity is going to be exponential. Like exponential. All right. So what is this suffering that I'm talking about? Yeah, suffering. The fear. Fear is a major psychological operation. Fear of the worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is death. That's the worst case scenario. Why do people fear death? Because no matter what, they like their life. Even if their life is horrific, they still like their life until they have no choice but to pass away and die. But people love their life. They like their life. They enjoy their life, even through their suffering. They don't want to die. And so the fear of death is the ultimate psychological operation. People fear what could happen versus what is happening. And you're just like, oh shit, yeah. I mean, it's psychological. It really is. The sins of the father. The sins of the father. Humans and animals are paying for the sins of their father. When you starve something, when you cut something out, when you cut something off, well, it grows back, but it grows back thicker. It grows back stronger. And then you have to have something that is stronger than it to finally overwhelm something that's in competition for your resources. And so, yeah, when people cut something out, when they cut something off, it does grow back stronger. But that's like tumors and cancer. Imagine when people cut off their arms and legs, right? And they cut out organs, and then they grow back stronger and thicker and better. But people don't think that way. They cut out tumors, and then they die before it comes back stronger because they don't build up the parent cells. And people get their arms chopped off or legs chopped off, or they cut out organs. They don't have time to find out if it'll come back stronger because they die before that even happens. Because they can't handle the pain of regrowth. And so when you think about it, doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result, that's insanity. Like in this environment, you do the same thing over again, you will expect the same result, but it will be accelerated. Okay? But what does that mean? Well, if you're trying to get rid of the pain, if you're trying to get rid of something that looks unsightly, if you're trying to get rid of something that you are in fear of because you were told that it will do this, this, and this, well, then the aging process becomes accelerated. If you cut out a cancer, cut out a tumor, and you don't get to experience its regrowth and face it, and then let your body dissolve it, then your aging process becomes accelerated because then the body finds different ways to grow. And when things grow, it will take away resources until you become stronger and feed the parent cell. See, that's what tumors and cancers are. Like, again, they are children's cells. They are pathogens. They are the competing life force. Just like when you're a child, just like a daughter and a mother. The mother is in competition with the daughter, even though they don't really say it. But their mother is trying to stay as young and as relevant as possible to compete with her daughter. And those are some pretty dysfunctional relationships when the daughter and the mother are in competition with each other. But it happens. And so then what happens is then the mother is deteriorating as the daughter keeps siphoning the resource away from mom. Because the daughter has youth and has time on her side, as long as she doesn't have anything aggressive inside her body. But the mother, she doesn't have youth and time on her side because she keeps reacting to all of her cell regeneration with anti-inflammatories and or with cutting things out and with attacking things oncologically or attacking things with anti-inflammatories and painkillers and aggressive substances and solvents. And so, yeah, the mother doesn't stand a chance against the daughter. Fuck no. She doesn't have what it takes, obviously. And so that's essentially what's going on with those who have cancer disease and chronic illness and or tumors. Is that they are, what is that? Hold on a second. My husband. They are in competition with you. They are in competition with you. And so you have to feed your parent cells and feed the enemy, like I said. And eventually, yeah, when you've undergone so many different surgeries for the same thing, and then you are lucky enough to see it grow back again, it means that you have to finally face the demons. You have to finally face the elephant in the room. You can't cut out the elephant anymore. You can't cut out anything that you used to cut out. You have to face it. If it's something within you. If it's someone out there, then you can cut them off and say, hey, good luck to you. Unless they change the way they do things. But there's no guarantee. So there's got to be other indicators to say that it's worth bringing people back in your life. But that's the thing, is that when you have something within you, you have to finally face the demons. If you want to prolong your life. But people don't. They just want to live their one life, that one shot, when you think about it. And they'll do everything they can to sustain being cured until the aging process is accelerated, because they never faced their demons. They kept cutting their demons out. They kept attacking their demons, or they kept holding the demons within them with anti-inflammatories. And so, yeah, the suffering of humanity is watching people think the worst and live in what could happen versus what is happening. And so, I look at my dog, and she's definitely strange right now. Definitely strange. She's going through a metamorphosis. She's in the process of facing her demons. Last night was so energetic. I don't know what was going on. If there was frequencies in the environment, but she was just up and down, on the bed, off the bed, on the bed, off the bed, on the bed, off the bed. It was like until past midnight before I can actually get her to relax. Actually, I had to close the door to my room because how wacky she was last night. Her kids were in control, and I didn't want her falling down the stairs. And so finally she was able to relax and slept in until about 8 o'clock. But she has great fur. She has great skin. She's got to deal with all these demons that her last owners, who didn't know any better, her last owners probably saw that she was developing stuff, and they took her to the vet, and the vet did all their surgeries, and then obviously they gave the dog up, and so the dog ended up in the Humane Society. Or they said she was found on the street, which I doubt. I think she was given up by a previous owner who didn't want to deal with a dog with issues to them. Of course, they don't know that you have to deal with these things, and you have to feed it, and people don't. They cut things out. But since my dog now has been given a second chance at life, so is everything that she ever ran away from because of her prior ownership. She's got to face everything she ever dealt with before she even got here. It's like I'm revisiting my dog before I even had her. But she is better because she is stronger. She's going to have to face her demons. And it's interesting that bottle feeding her is like bottle feeding a puppy. Because inside of her body, she's like a puppy. She is now dealing with maturing. And with maturity, you face the demons. You don't cut them out of your body. You don't attack them oncologically. You don't even, starve them. You feed them. You respect them. You communicate with them. And you ask them to leave politely. And you give them every resource that they can handle on their way out the door. And so, it is about removing the fecal programming systematically. It is about feeding the body all foods. It's not about starving the body, because you can see everything all over the internet about how to deal with all types of different entities in the body, and it's all about attacking it, scooping it out, operations. And then they're like, oh well, if you get an operation, it could potentially kill the dog, on contact, right afterwards. They only have 4 months to live. Or it could give them, a few years. It could give them a nice long lifespan, whatever that means. In this environment, there's no telling what kind of lifespan you're going to get after an operation. But I can assure you that the aging process will be accelerated after every single surgery and every single oncological visit you ever do, every single painkiller you ever undergo, everything will be accelerated. Your intentions to rest in peace is accelerated when you keep visiting the medical and holistic system. That's for damn sure. You respect life, you don't destroy it or try to starve it. You respect it, and you have to look at, there's parent cells and there's children's cells. The children's cells, the parent cells have to be predominantly the ones in control. And there's going to be a fight between the parent and the child. You see it in families all the time, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons. It's all over, Netflix, the war between the generations. Well, right now, everyone's in a war between the generations in their body. And when the younger generation wins, it means all-out destruction. When the younger generation wins. See, the older generations have the intelligence. The older generations have the experience. They have the innovation. They have the resources. They have the specialties. The younger generations don't have shit. All they have is regurgitation and inexperience and chaos. And you want them in control? That's all-out destruction. So you have to keep feeding the parent cells in the body. And also feed those chaotic, damaged children that are also in the body until the parent cells get strong enough and push out those damaged children. And like I said, things get worse before it gets better. What do you mean by worse? Worse is all relative to what you think is going to happen if you let things go the way they go that was not traditionally reacted to in the world that we came from. But when I look at my dog and I look that she has great fur, she can see, she can stand, she can walk, she has great skin, but she has to revisit some demons that were cut out of her, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. I'd have to say it's a blessing. But then the fear around anything that is anomalous to tradition. But if the worst thing is death and my dog is alive, then I have to just keep plugging on and keep feeding. Keep feeding her. Keep developing patience with everything, with the anomalous behaviors, because we're in climate change. And you can't get away from anomalous behaviors in climate change. You have to go with them, be patient with them. You can't resist what's going on right now. And people who do resist the changes that are going on, they won't last very long. The aging process will accelerate. And it's happening. Just look at your friends and family. People have changed drastically in the last 2 years. I see it. Some people see it too. And they're like, what the hell? Yeah. Change doesn't just happen like that overnight. Change happens progressively over a certain amount of time, but it can accelerate. What you thought would grow or metastasize in like 10 years, then redouble its efforts and grow in like 5 years or even 2 years. Or things age. What you thought the aging process would be like in 10 years would be cut in half, and people are experiencing the aging process in like 2 years and 5 years. That's why these kids look like they're 30 years old that are like 12 or 13. These kids are mature because it's the particle accelerators. It's the environment that's accelerating the aging process in them. That's why kids look older. They may not act older, they may not act mature, but they look like little adults. And then people can't tell if they're of age or if they're a minor. And that's where a lot of the confusion comes from. And so, when you're 12 years old and you can pass for a 30-year-old, the environment is so accelerated. And so, yeah. And so, like my husband, he was a landscaper before he became a trucker. When he would trim bushes, they came back thicker. So whenever you trim anything out of your body, it'll come back thicker. But people die before that happens because they expect to die. But when something comes back thicker and it's anomalous and it's in competition with you, then you're going to have to keep feeding you and it and then make sure that your parent cells have enough ammunition to finally tame the beast within. And people aren't doing that. They're cutting out the beast within, and the beast is more strategic, spreads out, and then causes accelerated aging in those who keep fighting the beast within. And that's what I say, you have to assimilate. You can't resist the beast within. You can't. And some people's beasts are showing in their politics, religion, scientific dogmas, as well as biologically. And as long as the beast isn't causing too much suffering in the parent, then you're going to have to keep the beast happy. When you keep the parent relatively happy, you keep the beast relatively happy until the parent's strong enough to push the beast out of their womb, room, life, and then the parent can finally live in peace. Because that's essentially what's going on. Is we have a lot of parents that are not living in peace. They are being tortured by their little babies. They're being tortured by their children. They're being tortured by their offspring in their microbial bodies. And that's the suffering of humanity, is they have not released the beast. Or the demons. Whatever. Hi, sugar. You come here. You want to come up here? Say hi to everybody, sugar. See? Say hi, everybody. She's lucky to have me. But I will not repeat the same mistakes as the people who owned her before and have somebody cutting her. Because yeah, I cut out anything that looks anomalous. Then in this environment, she will age faster and then she will die. Or I'd save her again and go through the same process again. But then the entity that is getting cut out of her grows back stronger and stronger. So eventually you're going to have to face a demon. And you have to keep feeding the parent until the parent's strong enough to push the demons out. And that's essentially what's going on. Is that you, human, have to be stronger than the shit inside of your body. You have to be stronger than the people around you who are torturing the fuck out of you. You got to be stronger than the environment to survive this climate change. And people aren't, and they are wailing out the door. They are wailing. And so no, I don't ever profess to be a doctor, because doctors make the beast stronger. Because they keep cutting into people. They keep cutting shit out. They keep attacking things. And people want it, that's fine, because they expect to pass away, fine. But I've never professed to be a doctor, nor do I even want to pretend to be one. Fuck no, I'm not a doctor. I want to live. I want my dog to live. I don't want to end up in the fucking morgue because of all the practices that doctors practice in this accelerated environment. Until medicine and the medical holistic industry changes and gives you another freaking option besides all the shit that they're giving you right now, I will never, ever be proud to say that I'm part of that system. I'm not part of that system. I will never be part of that system. But the only way I'm going to collaborate with them is they give you another option. Like teaching you how to pull out your own programming and feed the body and reassure you you're not going to fucking die. When they have ontology, not oncology, wing of the hospital, where they can assist somebody in their life process, not their death process. Ontology is about life. Oncology is about destroying life. If there is no ontological wing in the hospital, then I don't want anything part of it. I don't want any part of it. All right, bye.